Esports is not a medium that was born on TV or radio or anything that was passive. And when I say passive, it means you just watch it. There's no community around it, there's no interaction, there's no anything. You just watch it, maybe you talk about it the next day at work or at school. If you're really active and nerdy, you go online and you talk in a tech forum, something like that, but it's passive. Esports was born active. There's a chat on the side of Twitch that has a lot of interaction between the community, the players, the coaches, everything. So you're watching live content while you're also with your friends, with your community. A great way to imagine it is this. When you used to watch your kids or when you were playing video games back in the day, it would be a group of you sitting around the TV playing a game together. Early Nintendo, one-on-one. You know, Castlevania, Contra, all the games that I grew up on and loved, dating myself again. And then it became other systems where you would have 4 players or 6 players or 8 players. And that's grown into what you see now in esports, 5v5, 6v6, 2v2, etc. The difference is the complexity. So the complexity of the game, the storylines behind it, just being able to understand esports is significantly harder because the games are more complex. So what happened with esports is it grew up in a community space. It grew up live and interactive. All the players talking to each other before, during, and after the games. Whole communities being formed around games, players, teams. And that's the hardest thing to understand about new media. All of you know either music, traditional sports, you know something that has looked like esports. So let's remove some of the complexity from it. A lot of esports are like the NBA. It's like basketball. There are 2 teams playing each other, the teams are paid. The individual players have sponsorships and advertisements, they get a lot of money from that. Then they get paid salaries by the teams to compete. If you win, you get more money. Pretty simple. If you lose, you might lose your team, you might get relegated, you may have to retire, and in that way you kind of know what it looks like. And from the money side, it looks a lot like music, acting, or traditional sports again. You have some games that are individual, like golf or tennis. You play, you win, you continue. You don't, you're no longer a professional. Others have franchises, so they're teams that gain value. And that's like the Los Angeles Lakers or Chelsea in the Premier League. A wealthy investor makes an investment, builds a team. They always own that team, in that slot, in that league, with that game. So their responsibility is to bring in better players, compete, and make more prize money. So that's just, again, to give some context around esports as a whole. Imagine if somebody could not only see LeBron James play basketball, but before the game, they could kind of hang out around LeBron James in a LeBron James community. And after the game, LeBron would then hang out on court and start talking to the audience and just interact with them. It would be pretty cool. And that engagement is pretty valuable. In esports and gaming, that's the norm. So teams would actually have streaming sessions after they've won. Those streams are then have advertisement, they have sponsorship, they have all the normal things. So the interaction between the professional and their audience is deep. It's very meaningful, and it can actually lead to actions. So the great thing about esports and gaming is when you get to the audience and engage, they become evangelists for your brand, as long as you speak to them correctly. Now, if you don't, if you're inauthentic, then they may reject your brand, and then they do it en masse. But if you try to understand them, you engage them, they become your advertising army, which is incredibly powerful. Who are these esports audience members? What are your kids doing when you're trying to get them to look at the television show that you're enjoying or get them to go back to their homework? They are millennials and screenagers. Screenagers is kind of a concept that we came up with. That's the demographic, 14 to 50. That's right, 50. And what they're doing every day is this. They're generally streaming some type of content, whether that be Netflix, Twitch, YouTube, something, for about 4 hours a day. They're listening to music for about an hour and a half. They're playing games for 3 hours and 50 minutes, and they're on social media for the rest. So you may say that's a lot of hours in the day. Like, how are they not doing anything else? Remember that gamers and content creators and the people who enjoy them, they do this on their way to work. They do it while they're at work sometimes. Don't worry, bosses. They're still doing what they're supposed to. They're very good at multitasking. And basically, while you're sitting with the TV on, they're on their phone. This is what they're doing. So if you want to engage with the 35 and under crowd, you have to understand what they're consuming, what they're playing, why are they doing it? And a lot of it is around community, which again is really important to understand. Your kids are not sitting there just, all alone, just being inside themselves. Most of the time in gaming and this type of content, they're actually interacting with their friends. They are in their communities. They're sharing stories, facts, everything, and they're enjoying the content at the same time. So incredibly dynamic, incredibly engaging, and very, very powerful.